Democrats sell out labor and take corporate contributions? Absolutely. So your answer to a revanchist far right that's doing even more than any previous administration on labor is to go back into history and bitch about Democrats fucking up on that issue. What we on the actual left, who care about actually achieving things, are doing is fighting all of these fronts simultaneously. But actually, in fact, focusing now on the main threat. I said if you were in a swing state, vote for Hillary because I wanted to keep the main threat and the main problem be those fucking neoliberals and corporatists that we do have to defeat, not galloping fascists. But you know what? It's a good business model. Outrage is a good business model.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Oh, Joe, it is good to see you back, my friend. I know I haven't been streaming in a while. I've been dealing with work shit and dealing with like work attitudes and all that other good bullshit. And I'm glad to see you doing here tonight, my friend. Yeah, I am. Oh wow. YouTube has been busy. Let's see this shit. Hold on.
What's up, insiders?
Hold on. I am. Yeah, I know. The change in your medication. Um, yeah, no, I actually. Wow, This is actually interesting. I know this won't be a segment, but I'm gonna actually put this up anyway. Check this shit out. Check this shit out. Update to our interpersonal policy. Ooh, I wonder what YouTube is saying.
You know the drill. If it's Tuesday, it's Newsday. Let's get into it. First, we know that many fans out there love to celebrate their favorite creators, artists, and celebrities
Okay.
with fan channels on the platform. But we also know that many scammers create imposter channels to trick viewers by looking very similar.
Oh, impersonation, not interpersonal
not
problem.
clearly.
Okay, yeah, no, that's stupid. Let's see, what does this say? This is literally the most American thing I've ever seen.
I'm a 1%er. That equals 4%. Shut up, and I will not sit out. And I will not. I refuse to. I'm an infidel. I am a 3%er and I'm a 1%er. That equals 4%. And I don't like the state of America right now. No, this is my America and I'm taking it back. We're going to have Trump in office. Trump's coming back.
Ow, my ears. Ow, my ears.
Don't touch me, you're pissing me off. You won't let me buy my stuff. You're right, I won't let you buy your stuff. What kind of America is this? They're arresting me for trying to pay stuff for my dog. Yeah, I need the one on Facebook, and I put it there. I need my Hells Angels.
Oh God. Oh God. Okay. That was worth it. That was worth it. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. That was fucking worth it. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. That was worth it. Thank you, Joe. Wow. So, I'm here to actually do a video. We're gonna actually watch Rico's debate. I know for me, I've had a conversation with Rico. We interact on YouTube, talk behind the scenes every now and then. His channel has been blowing up, and yeah, Okay, so I'm gonna actually break down some things down to you guys. Let me turn the camera. All right, so I want to make sure I say this. Let's just do this. So I want to actually make sure I say this. I am not somebody who's anti-black. I'm not somebody who's anti-history. I'm anti um heritage. Yeah, that's the word. I am somebody who literally feels like a student of all world fucking history. I am somebody who feels like I'm a student of learning the good and the bad that all the fucking humans have actually done throughout this motherfucking world. And do I admire things that my heritage has actually brought me? Yes. Did I do them? No. So I can't be proud of a heritage that I had no part in taking part of other than just existing. That being said, no, I'd like to actually be able to take history from peoples and groups that have actually struggled and actually made it where all the things have been against them. But one of the things that I hate about some people who take their heritage as if they did it is that they didn't fucking do it and they don't really understand the struggles of what happened with that heritage. They just like to cloak themselves in the heritage to say, I'm good because of my heritage and I don't care what skin color it is. It's still fucking cringe. If your claim to be great is because of the DNA mixture that you were born into, then you don't have much. And this is how I look at a lot of these political movements. I want us all to be fucking better. I want us all to move away from the hate. I want us to all move away from the slurs and the motherfucking insults for no reason. If you want to insult somebody for something that they're doing. But because it's the internet and as Michael said, outrage gets you clicks. This is where we're at. So let's cover this video. I had planned on doing some art with it, but my vision is fucked up for today. So I'm gonna work on some art tomorrow and this weekend. But let's actually hear this video. Just to set it up, I don't know what was the argument about, but I do know that they got into a little bit of kerfuffle on Twitter. And let's actually watch this. I know this is going to be a long video. I may have to break it up into parts, but let's watch this. Let's go.
Just again, sorry if I seem sluggish. I am.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Afternoon or evening, depending on your time zone. On my end, this is another episode of Rico Rants, and I have with me Joe Lewis. And on his end, I don't know the name of your show. What you do? What you call it?
It's just my name. my show is my name.
The Joe Lewis Show.
Nothing fancy as of yet.
Okay, got any idea?
Great. So this is a warm-up talk. Let's go.
Name-wise, or
Done.
I mean, for what it's worth, I didn't come up with mine. A friend of mine did when I was workshopping names, and my ideas were terrible. And then she was like, "What about Rico Rants?" And I was like, "That's fucking perfect."
Yeah, no, that works. It's short, sweet, to the point. 8 letters, no 9 actually. So
yeah. So with that said, let us begin with the topic discussion. It is with regards to, I guess, lived experience and the ability, anyone's ability to communicate it. Like from my understanding, you were saying that white liberals and leftists can't. They can't speak on as an authority on the black experience because on account of not being black. Like,
okay, so wow, that's what the conversation's about. That's what the conversation's about. That's what the conversation's about. I want to introduce you guys to a concept of human motherfucking empathy. I know, weird. I don't know to have to know exact same pain that you went to understand that pain is fucking uncomfortable, and maybe we shouldn't put anybody through this shit. I just like, yeah, sure. See, just the idea of just saying that, oh, these people can't understand black people's pain is a little bit reductive. Also, it's low key racist. Thirdly, it's quite telling because you're saying that you can't understand other people's pain unless you experience it. Okay, let's. This is the shit that pisses me off about this brand of quote unquote liberation, because it's not liberation. It's motherfucking my feelings are hurt, which in all rights you can have fucking feelings that are hurt, but my feelings are hurt, and my feelings are hurt, and it's special. And oh god, let's see how this conversation goes.
Therefore, someone like Candace Owens would be better than any white leftist on that regard because she's actually a black woman. Am I correct in summarizing it as such?
A little bit. I think to clarify the kind of sort of explain where exactly I'm coming from. I think that because
wait, did he just okay? And this is something that I've actually heard, and I even covered in my FD video. I will listen to Candace Owens over the black experience over a white liberal or white leftist. Which Candace Owens? I'm sorry, the Candace Owens that actually had a motherfucking NAACP lawsuit, who assisted her with a lawsuit against prejudice, or the Candace Owens that is literally out there making Thomas Stowell arguments, talking about how black people doing it themselves and always talking mad shit about black people. How she's like literally saying now there's no racism. Which Candace Owens? I'm sorry, when you're talking about this bullshit and you're throwing shields for people that's using their blackness as a shield, I'm sorry. You're just trying to say that all black people think alike. We're all a monolith. And I'm sorry, dog. Because of this bullshit, we're not. We're not a fucking monolith. There are black people, I know, I have videos on them that say, yo, there's no racism. Which is bullshit. And it goes back to that same fucking concept of empathy. What the fuck is empathy? What the fuck is empathy? You don't have to know, and I feel like I'm going to be saying this so many times through this debate. You don't have to exactly understand, experience that particular type of pain to know what pain is. But let's go.
Is how everybody's sort of positioned in society, people are going to be approaching it in different ways. And because we need, and I'm speaking just like, because black people need white people in these conversations, they need white people for legislation, they need white people for all these things. White people can't do this on their own. That we need white folks to be able to understand the injustice claim that exists by being in the social position of black in the United States. And one of the things that I lament over is because of how our society is structured, none of our existences are contextualized in a way that's proper. So, and unfortunately, there's a lot more white people than there are black people. So, in a lot of situations, they are the ones who are going to be the drivers of discussion and the drivers of discourse, just by virtue of how many they are in the United States. But if you have a sort of just racial understanding and racial history that you went through the K-12 system, you're going to come with a lot of insufficiencies. And this is true for black people. But because of the social position that white people are in, they're just going to end up being in different spaces. And I'm going to say better very loosely, but we probably get into like what that means a bit deeper.
I mean, like, dude, like, oh my God, okay, I get it. I fucking get it. There is racism that's happening in the fucking country. But you are not going to tell me there's some white person that's living in the Holland, Tennessee, that's living in Middle Tennessee, that's living in the backwoods of Kentucky, that's living in some of the poorest towns, even in places like here in Illinois, that they don't understand how to do, that they don't understand the fucking issue of being fucking broke, being impoverished, and not having any motherfucking power. I get that yeah, they don't have the additional burden of dealing with racism. But you cannot tell me that these people who deal with fucking pain just like you can't fucking understand what's going on with you. Fuck, let's go.
But the result of that is when you're looking to have the articulation of the injustice claim, the culture of how these discussions happen falls short. And because we need white people in these conversations, and white people, because of their social position, are in positions to push legislation, push policy, push the culture, they tend to fall short.
One does marvel at the level of lying Republican double thinks in the standards. There is no such thing as there is no such thing in chattel slavery as skills that can be used by slaves for their personal benefit. Any Republican that dares to argue otherwise should be a slave for a few months, and the lesson might sink in. Edited to add, this is such a thing discussed. This is a thinly disguised attempt to bring back old pro-slavery apologetics. At least we converted them to Christian. Yeah, of course. Yeah, you said slavery and Christianity. You said the same word twice. Let's go.
Of course. Like in that regard, with regards to like lived experiences and such, I did want to ask you, do you? Because I had an argument with someone else before who made the claim that like black people experience racism, but not just systemically, but interpersonally in every aspect of their lives. And I want to ask if you feel the same, because what I said to that person was like, not really, like not exactly. You know what I mean? We don't have the exact same experience. You know what I mean? We don't. Like, for example, just using Candace Owens as an example, she actually experienced racism before. That was one of the first things you learn about her, is that she was discriminated against, and she sued and won her discrimination claim. If I recall, it was something about rent or some shit. I don't remember the exact details, but she experienced it and subsequently sued and won as a result of that. Whereas, I look at myself, I'm like, I've never experienced racism to that extent or to any real extent, and I for damn sure never had to sue anybody because of discrimination. You know what I mean? So it's like, but that person just completely disregarded my claim, my experience, because their foundational understanding is that we all experience that both systemic and interpersonal racism. And I'm like, but we don't, not all of us, and not to the.
And the thing about it is, what Rico was saying here is totally right. Each person has their own lived experience. Some people more, some people less. My experience is that I live out in the suburbs of Chicago versus the city of Chicago. Things and different jobs that I've actually had to do may be different from what other people's have. The fact that I'm 40 and I was part of the first generation to be online, and not only that, I was part of the generation, I actually had a computer in my home versus people in my neighborhood who didn't have a computer in their home. So I was able to interact with more and more people across the country. It's all about a difference. But again, so many people like Joe Lewis actually has this whole mindset, black people are monoliths. But their experiences are the same. Like, no, fuck, dude. Okay. All right, let's go.
Not to the exact same extent. Like, are you? That's the point I was trying to make to them. So I want to ask them, like, do you feel the same, or?
Yeah, I mean, like, we can just be honest. America defaults to treating black people like garbage, and it defaults to treating non-white people like garbage. And while and what I mean by garbage is that garbage is in different ways. Garbage can be an empty can on the side of the road, and garbage can be a trash heap. And the problem is with these experiences of being treated like garbage, you're going to adopt different survival mechanisms when dealing with those type of injustices.
And you know what? This is true. This is exactly true. There are some people that are treated very specific ways, and then they adopt things like, I don't know, being a little bit more antagonistic about things. The whole idea of just, yeah, no, that's something that is true. People survive different. People think differently. I know that when it comes to things that really piss me off, I'm not somebody who can allow myself to get mad. I know I'm not. I always have to think rationally. Maybe that's my coping mechanism. That is true. So let's go.
Some like one person might feel like somebody, for instance, belittling them in a way that's like sort of we'll say gratuitous, might not feel like something that's that's a big deal, but for somebody else it might not.
Shit.
And what
Give
happened?
give me 1 second. Give me
Yeah.
1 second. You keep going. Just give me 1 second.
You got. And I don't know if I'm going or not, but yeah, and like another thing with that is when we're trying to understand people better, we gotta for me we have to default in that understanding that America just treats black people, and you can expand that to say non-white people, like garbage, and that's just going to be in different variations. And my desire is to be able to change especially the cultural institutions, but also alongside the judicial and legislative, where that's not the case anymore. Like,
All right, so here I give you that. I give you. America treats a lot of people like garbage, and they treat Hispanic people like garbage, Latino people like garbage. They treat black people like garbage. They treat natives like garbage, and they treat oh, anybody who's not fucking rich like garbage. And I'm definitely not saying that they're all equal in the what amount of garbage. I think we can all agree with that. But the problem with rhetoric like this is simple. When you feed into this, like, I won't get shit for this. I know that it's the whole thing about no. What do you mean if black people get power, they're not gonna want revenge? If you listen to the undertones of some of these people when they make this argument, yes, they're looking for revenge. They're looking for revenge. And like I get it. Fuck. I've actually had to deal with a lot of political growth, a lot of political evaluations of my surroundings, but a lot of people want motherfucking revenge because they're still hurt and their pain is hurting to them. And for you to actually say, yo, let's not, let's try to work together with, you know, you know, almost like a rainbow coalition. Let's work all together. And you know what? The only motherfucking thing you need to be part of this rainbow coalition is if you've been treated poorly by the system, whether it's racial bigotry or economic bigotry. Let's all fucking work together to make shit better. I don't know. It's not like it's been tried before, right? It's not like it's been tried in a major city, right? And like led to like the free breakfast and lunch program. It's a national motherfucking program. Oh wait, yeah. It's all that whole retribution justice instead of rehabilitation thing. Yeah, no. They want retribution. And it may not be the, you know, give them new long neckties, but they want retributions. Even if it's just as simple as humiliation. But let's go.
we're not going to de facto get, we're not going to, not de facto, we're not going to like wholesale get rid of these things overnight. It's going to take a long process. And something that frustrates me is that it always seems to be that the way that we deal with the garbage treatment scenario is through time and general apathy. And that apathy then tends to the people adopting things like meritocracy, individualism, and stuff like that, where I think like a more collectivist approach would be probably better for most.
So let's just talk about the myth of meritocracy. Yeah, it's a fucking myth. And it was a myth that was created by people that were a little bit more well-to-do. It actually was one of those things where it's just like, yeah, it was like romanticism. You never really thought it was gonna, like, it was a joke that people was like, oh yeah, let's believe this bullshit. Like and then people start believing this bullshit. But yeah, no, the meritocracy, like literally the guy who wrote about it was like, yeah, no, the richer parents, they actually because they were richer, they were able to hire tutors for their kids, and their kids get better than the poor people. But meritocracy, right? Let's go. Let's go a little bit further. Skip ahead just a little bit.
Can push to get.
All right.
Like my job is it's a remote job.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
I basically my workload is whatever comes. You know what I mean? I get emails and phone calls. I have to do some meetings, blah 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 blah. But he doesn't say he pretty much gives me the freedom to do whatever I want.
Sure.
Whatever, you know what I mean? But if he
Next. In this case, I would say in the United States, that's going to be black people.
Hey, what's up? Thanks, Ice. Wow, Ice. Thanks, Icon. Wow. I need to actually get some sleep later.
Indigenous people, disabled, etc.
Yeah, and that's one thing, right? If you want to talk about a specific characteristic that others can't ever really understand, even if they read about it, in an academic sense, you know what I mean, or if they hear about it from others, like say again being disabled and whatnot. Like I will never know what that's like. With how our country just doesn't give a shit about disabled people, like people who.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that tweet that he did. Yeah, next time I get stabbed, I'm not gonna go to a doctor. I'm gonna go to somebody else who got stabbed. Like, yeah, okay, let's go.
Can't walk, for example, like there's no ramps, this, that, and the third. Even though I sympathize and empathize with that situation, and I'm like, hey, yeah, let's put ramps everywhere for these people. I can't know what that's like because I'm able-bodied. I'm still able to move around and such. But my contention and question to you is, what does that have to do with skin color? Because the foundation of the argument, at least on Twitter, is basically that white leftists can't understand Candace Owens. But I'm like, what specifically? Oh, wow, Stuart. What specifically qualifies Candace Owens to be able? What is so inherently unique to Candace Owens that other people can't understand, like outside of her skin color? Like, really?
Because the social position of blackness is not the same as anything else that we've had in American history. Like,
Okay, and this is the bullshit that I fucking hate. Oh my god. Okay. Fuck. Okay. I get that our motherfucking our history that we have as black people is just like really, really unique. It's unique. It's unique. I mean, like no other culture in America has actually been, forced from their land, betrayed time and time and again by the U.S. government, live in places where they can't get clean drinking water. I mean, like, no other culture has actually dealt with that. Like, no other country across the motherfucking world has ever, I don't know, had their children stolen. Or been forced to go to specific, schools that's like residents or something like that. No other culture has actually faced prejudice. I know I'm being hyperbolic, but this shit is stupid. This shit is really, really fucking stupid. And you are taking pride in the fact that I got depressed more than anybody. Why would you do that? Say that we made it past this, but you know what? Fuck, I want to make sure nobody, black, white, brown, anything, never have to experience that again. And this is where these people lose me. Because they say, I'm special. Motherfucker, you weren't the ones going through slavery. You weren't there. Motherfucker, somebody say something wrong to you on the motherfucking internet. You block them on Twitter. That's my problem with a lot of these motherfuckers. It is really just because they want to take pride in it. but they don't want to deal with the fucking consequence of what that really means. But let's go.
Black people are put in a precarious position that we're no longer in this position. And in a lot of contexts, it's not about skin color. It's about the social position that's associated with being clocked as a member of that group. So what that looks like in practice is that while you can understand like the social positions and you can have a very good understanding about the history and things that come with Black death, Black trauma, Black harm, you're never going to be able to understand the complications and contradictions. Because it's one thing.
Okay, what are those complications and contradictions?
One thing to see, for example, able to see and be able to see and read and understand, like, oh, like, yeah, there's Black people in prison, Black people are getting brutalized by the police, Black people are otherized in these particular contexts. However, it's another thing to understand the complications and the contradictions, and just active activity of living as a member of that identifiable group. And
well, that's the thing I don't get though, right? Is what is that? Because it's just look. What the question is, what is so unique to us that other people can't experience? Because I'm like, poverty. Everybody understands poverty if you lived in poverty.
That's a fucking great question. That is a fucking great question. Thank you, Rico. Thank you.
Fucking being brutalized or abused by the police. You find me a demographic that hasn't experienced that.
But we know that white people who are poor still have homes disproportionately in the Black population. And then if you are somebody who is of poverty and you are white of poverty.
Wait, what? I'm. Wait. Oh, okay. Maybe I didn't get that, but what? He's saying poor white people have homes, which is fine. That is true, but like, do you know the quality of those homes, dude? I mean, like, I'm not one to use like the easy go to stereotype, but like you're not. It's something called. Oh, sorry about that. It's something called trailer park, and they're not the best motherfucking places for people. Like, I. Oh, okay. Let's go.
Poverty, you will never be able to connect your white poverty as it relates to Black poverty because that is a different lived experience.
That's what I'm trying to say. So that's what it's like. What's the difference between white poverty and Black poverty?
The relationship with the institutions. Like, there's a reason why white people received the benefits that they did in the United States. That's because the relationship with the institutions as it relates to the social position of being white is different. And there's examples that point to that,
The examples being
they're different. Cool, great. So again, like, he's just trying to say they're worse. Just say that they're worse and back up that fucking claim. Cool. If you think that they're worse, say that they're worse and back that up. I have no problem if you feel that it's worse and you can give your explanation about it's worse. Say that. Say that. Stop trying to dance around the fucking point. All right, let's go.
And that, like, just as an example, like the 9/11 GI Bill, Black people weren't allowed to use it for the longest time.
Yep.
After its conception and whatnot, but eventually we were. So
that's not necessarily the case, because
what do you mean?
So maybe this is something to parse out, where it's like, why do you think Black people were excluded?
Because we were Black, but that was.
I firmly disagree. It's because of the social position that exists by being Black within that institution.
What the fuck? Just because you say more words doesn't mean that they're fucking different, dog. If I have in my hand my earbud case and I say the positioning of this earbud case is three motherfucking a foot and a half away from my camera, and enclosed in phalanges. It's still the same thing as saying, I have my earbud case in my hand. This is still the goddamn same thing. Stop with this. You're trying to sound more intellectual than what you are. God damn it. Stop. This is why this is why Icon said I need to drink. Wow.
Because we're far beyond like this idea. We're far beyond the idea that people are actively discriminating against because by virtue of their blackness. And if you believe that that's the case, and you have to point to particular examples. For instance, the grandfather clause is not. People think that black people are discriminated.
He did not just say that bullshit. He did not just say that bullshit. Literally, you dumb motherfucker. The reason why the shit was like that. He even brings up the grandfather clause, talking about, it's because of this. Like, no, they legally had to make it where the laws didn't sound discriminatory. And so they use legal fucking ease to motherfucking try to justify because black. It's just that fucking simple. It's just that fucking simple. Maybe I'm not this big charitable and like to see people in the best motherfucking light. Like, no. Rico, nail him on this bullshit. Please nail him on this bullshit. Please nail him on this bullshit.
Because they were black, and that's why the grandfather clause was racist. The grandfather clause was not racist because of skin color. It was racist because it targeted the social position that black people were in, was that they didn't have grandparents that could read. So,
yeah, because black people couldn't read. It's just that fucking simple. It is literally that fucking simple. Oh my god, do people really think this motherfucker's an intellectual? It was because they were black, you dumbass. Okay.
So, and then when you look at the social position of white people in that context, they were allowed to read by virtue of the benefits of being a member of that social position.
Yeah,
not because they were white, but the social position that exists within that.
Well, we weren't allowed to learn how to read because we were black. We weren't allowed to go. The reason why, as it stands, like just another example.
Okay, he did nail him on it. Yeah. Get garbity good. Yeah.
Example why so many black people don't know how to swim is because we were barred from pools, because we were from public pools, because we were black. I'm sure you know about how you used to throw acid in the pools when we tried. You know what I mean? It's because we were black. Like you are between like you're putting the cart before the horse here. Like, no, the reasons why, which led to the things of like why black people, what caused the generational issue of black people not knowing how to swim is because when we tried, we were punished for it, barred from it, because we were black. And now subsequently most black people don't know how to swim.
Social positions lead to consequences in relationships.
If you say social, I swear to God, I do have some motherfucking rum in there. I think that I may special occasion. No, Joe, what he's talking about is the fact that, well, because we're in this social class, like, no, motherfucker, people were just being fucking racist. He is literally starting to build a Candace Owens light commentary around what he's saying.
That, like, you're describing exactly my point, where it's not because people were black, it's because of the social position associated with that. And with blackness in the United States for an incredibly long time was being associated as less than human. And because we were associated by virtue of our skin color and our relationship and what we were perceived as less than human. And by the perception of being less than human, that leads to an engagement and an idea of what that social position means. And time again, and over and across history, the contextualization of that, hey, black people are people, that was the contention. So as these things are eroding, the social position is changing. That's why when you look at the state of play that we're at today, you don't have to target black people because they're black. That was a very small sliver of history, but it's more about the lineage that comes with that.
No, fuck, no. I don't get this shit. Like, is he not realizing that yes, you can't legally write down in the law, we don't want this person to do this because they're black? But like that North Carolina, that Supreme Court, North Carolina, that law that was struck down. It wasn't, oh yeah, we're gonna, we wanted to draw the maps in this particular way because it was like, no, they did it because they were black. The architect of the law was like, what ID that black people couldn't have? This is still legally going on, and they're trying to find ways around it. He can't be this stupid. He can't be this stupid. Oh my God, he cannot be this fucking stupid to think that, oh, it's a social position and because, like, no. Because some people still have hatred because of fucking skin color. I know, weird, right? It's fucking weird when you say it out loud. Some people have hatred because of skin color. Damn. Let's go.
Because you can target legislation and different things because of that lineage that exists within the ethnicity of blackness in the United States.
Yeah, well, no, and I get what you're saying. It's no, I mean, they figured it out. I can't remember which politician said it, but it was basically along the lines of, we can't say the N-word anymore. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We have to reframe how we still target black people, like with regards to the drug war.
Exactly my point. Oh my God. Fucking what's the name? Water, whatever the fuck he was, Atwater. This is exactly what Atwater was saying. Being decimated as people did not stop the discrimination. I hope he's not arguing what I think he is, because what I'm hearing is it is nonsense. Joe Louis is literally arguing, oh, because of the position of being socially black. Like, no, motherfucker. Like, literally, you are falling for the bullshit where Atwater was saying that we can't come out and call these people the N-word. We have to say, we have to hide it in this, and then hide it in that, and hide it in this. You are falling for the bullshit. But, alright, let's go. If you haven't done so already, please like the stream.
Or, you know what I mean? They associated it, that with black people, but they didn't say explicitly that they were targeting black people. I mean, eventually someone did. I think it was someone in Nixon's administration saying straight up that they wanted to go after the specific people that were that he believed to be a threat to his administration, black people, hippies, so on and so forth. But you can't target black people specifically anymore at that time and going forward. So what they do is they attack
euphemisms
where we are. You know what I mean? They attack our social standing as that was caused due to generational what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, just the social position. They're targeting the social position that was created back when it was explicitly because we were black. You know what I mean? Like like again, there's nothing inherent to us is what I'm saying. Like black people, when I brought up the swimming thing, the idea that being black does not mean we don't know how to. We can't ever learn how to swim, or we don't know how to swim.
Right.
But we don't know how to swim because when we tried, we were banned. You know, we were attacked for it, and thus created the generational lack of knowledge of how to swim.
It's like the bullshit about, maybe you shouldn't do this. And by the way, God said cut off your foreskin. Wait, what? God said cut off your foreskin. Why should I do this? Because you won't touch yourself. Wait, what? What? No, fuck that. I said cut off your foreskin so you won't touch yourself. And by the way, God said it. So the first few people that shit don't work on, let them start telling kids and shit, and it becomes reinforced, and it's no longer don't cut off your foreskin because God because I just don't want to touch yourself. It's because God said it. That's literally what this shit is. You've obfuscated the real fucking reason to, oh, it's about the social position of black people. No, it's because people have hatred and fear because of a fucking skin tone. God, okay.
I'll put it in another way that maybe you'll understand. That like, why do you think?
And this whole shit, like, and then I'm gonna say this. Well, if you really understood, if you really was listening, then you agree with me. No, dude, no, just we don't agree with you. But let's go.
There's so many black people in the NBA. Is it because of their blackness, or because of like something inherently that they're athletic? No, absolutely not. But it's not a coincidence that you'll find basketball courts in urban centers all across the country. And they in some situations they're outnumbered from people anywhere from 5-1 to 10-1. That like if you're in New York City, you're gonna find a basketball court everywhere, but you're not gonna find an ice rink, you're not gonna find a swimming pool, you're not gonna find a.
You also find baseball diamonds everywhere. I don't know about this motherfucker where he lives, but if there's a basketball court, there's a baseball court, there's a baseball diamond, and a tennis court in every big motherfucking park that we have. Every park. Like, I literally live around an area where it's like, soccer fields. I would say more. Yeah. Yeah, no, like literally I live over by the lakefront. There's a fucking Chicago Park District golf course, two of them actually, matter of fact. There are for every motherfucking basketball court, there's a baseball diamond. I this oh God. It's this selective survivorship bias bullshit. But let's go.
You're not gonna. God, if you find a roller rink, you're lucky.
Yeah,
after 1970,
sure.
But that's because roller rinks fell out of. Oh wow, volleyball, yeah. Okay.
and then what happens is because of how segregated the country is, that creates its own outcome. It basically creates itself. Because if you are looking to, for instance, be a baseball player, right? You're like, I really like baseball. I want to play baseball. You're going to need some level of resource that isn't quite tangible at first. Like you can get a bat, you can get a ball, you can get a glove. But if you are in the city and you live in a city, you're going to have to take additional steps to make sure that you can cultivate this activity. And basically what politicians all the way to.
Fuck no! Oh my god! Damn it! I live in Chicago. We have a fucking park district. We have a park district that has baseball, that has fucking. As a matter of fact, I will correct that. We have more softball teams than anything because Chicago. But no, what the fuck is he talking about? Oh God, damn it! He's fucking stupid. When faced with a choice, the motherfucking answer that takes the least amounts of assumptions is generally the right answer.
City planners were very meticulous about is that they allowed these things to perpetuate themselves. Where if we had a situation where there were baseball fields on every corner of urban centers, you're going to see a lot of black people being baseball players. Nothing to do because they're black, but because of the social position that they're put in, the social position of certain things that are accessible, certain things that aren't accessible. Because even in the
I really want to talk to this cat. I really want to talk to this cat. I get it, and you know, for as poignant with topics Rico is on Twitter. When he's talking with somebody, he's pretty chill. He lets them say their piece, and he does not real call them out on a bullshit type thing. I can actually say that. I've seen conversations that he's had. We've had a conversation on stream, but yeah, no, like this shit is here. Let's see, what did Joe send us? Here. Finally, a strip mall that can handle your complete descent to rock bottom. Okay, man. Okay. All right, let's go. You can make the argument that poor communities lacking access to coaching because good coaches follow the dollar, but the lack of access to courts is just it's very, very, very dumb, very dumb. All right, let's go. It doesn't. It doesn't. He's literally talking about. He's literally pulling shit out of his ass.
In the face of we don't want these darkies in our pools, they just close the pool down.
As a matter of fact, I learned how to swim, and I will say this: I actually did learn how to swim because I live a few miles from where I grew up. I learned how to swim by going to a high school swimming pool. It was Simeon back in the 90s. That's how I learned how to swim because I learned at a high school pool during the summer and shit like that.
And then, like, and sure, that's going to hurt white folks, but white folks will then just go to the gym. White folks will then just go to the private pool in their community, and that's because it was constructed in such a way where that idea, the very idea of having access to recreational goods, was an asset of that social position that wasn't available for other groups.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And it goes back to the point that I made with regards to the pools, that the generational result of barring us from pools is we don't know how to swim. We can't swim. We don't know how to. There's nothing inherent to us not being able to swim. We can obviously learn. You know, I mean, I learned and such, but it's like,
and that's a contradiction, right? Because then, like, if you are somebody who is, I didn't mean to cut you off there, by the way. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Because, like, let's say, like, you don't know anything about anything. Like, you just know, like, your existence. And then you see all these black folks that don't swim are afraid of water. And it's like, why do my black friends not want to go to the beach? Like, why do my black friends never want to go to these things? Like, I have a swimming pool, and they just didn't want to use it. It was really bizarre. And then if nobody contextualizes that existence, you're not going to know that, like, yo, this is something that was inherited by virtue of the social position. Because
no, it wasn't fucking inherited. Oh my god, it wasn't fucking inherited. Oh my god, it did. Literally, motherfuckers just didn't want black people in the swimming pool. That's it. And for you to actually say, "Oh, it's about the social position," no, it was motherfucking racist. That, you know, when some people actually thought that, like, somebody's blackness could rub off on them. That's how ignorant this shit was. It wasn't about, the poorness is going to get on me. They literally thought the melanin off of somebody else's skin is going to get on them. Yes, that's how stupid America is with teaching science. And it hasn't improved much. Joe. We know, my friend. We know. I'm with you too, but yeah.
Because if your grandparents didn't swim and your parents didn't swim, and there's no contextualization of why you don't swim, then of course you're not going to swim. But then what happens is, like, for
that goes to Rico's point about it being, hey, my grandparents couldn't swim because they weren't allowed in the pool because they were black, and then they didn't teach my parents. And then now they didn't teach me, like, dude, it has nothing to do with the social position of you. Like, dude, there are rich people that don't know how to fucking swim. I would think socioeconomics actually proves it's the fact that, hey, We weren't taught that. And look, I will be the first motherfucker. Going back to early what I said. Like, I grew up in the fucking 90s. I grew up in a point where it was hard to actually have internet and computers in the home. I literally was doing AT&T, and like I may have got in trouble a few times by like being on the internet for like hours on end, but that's because it was not because it was a black thing that black people didn't like technology. No, but because in the neighborhood I grew up in was poor as shit. I grew up in Albury and Gresham in the 90s. And the thing about it is, it had nothing to do with the social position. It was the fact that a lot of black people couldn't actually get the brand new technology because we were kept out of fucking jobs because we were black. That's it. Fuck. It isn't something you socially inherit per se. More so are affected by your economic position and across the to access to water and training your community. Exactly. Oh, okay. Yeah, androids can't float. Yeah, let's go.
For black folks is that because we're engaging with these contradictions, with these issues directly, we basically have to ask questions and try to come to answers. So
one thing I really need to understand is what is the contradiction? That's what I'm trying. What is contradicting what? That's what I need to understand.
There's nothing inherent to black people that says we can't swim. That's a contradiction. So
that's not a contradiction, you dumb fuck. That's a fact. You know that, okay, for those of you guys who watch Dragon Ball Z Abridged, it's like that conversation Frieza was having with Goku. It's like, it's just like you're using words that you heard to try to make yourself sound smarter. There is no contradiction. Oh God.
If you are are living in a world where you see no black people swim, you might come to the conclusion, if you haven't seen black people swim your entire life, they don't like swimming. Which
we have black people in countries where it's this thing that happens every 4 years. It's called the Olympics. There are people who are black that swim for the Olympics. What? No. We have the Pan American Games. I know. What are you, like, what in the green sage are you smoking to believe that you don't see black people swimming? Like, I don't know. Like, it'd be different if we were having this conversation literally in the 90s, where we didn't have the internet. All right, let's go.
Means they don't like anything that's associated with swimming, not only recreational but competitive in the sports complex. So then, if you see in an urban center, in an urban population, that there's a bunch of black people, like my school is disproportionately black, and my disproportionately black school, none of the black kids can swim. What value is there from even like appealing to have a pool in the school in the first place?
I learned how to swim in the public school pool right in the middle of West Inglewood. I learned how to swim. I live in Chicago. We sit on a motherfucking inland sea over here. People know how to swim. It's like this motherfucker is making hasty generalizations, all to prove a point. of some social ailment or social position to say that it's not because you black, but it's really because you black. What the fuck, man? All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Why not have something that they have access to?
But there's no contradiction there. It's just given the context. There's no contradiction. It's just if anything, it's completely a completely consistent linear progression that we were barred from swimming forever, and as a result, even after we became allowed to swim publicly, we just don't try anymore. We don't even care to try. There's no contradiction. That's completely linear progression.
Right, but that linear progression can lead to poor conclusions if you're looking to try to rectify that from a policy perspective.
That still doesn't equate fucking contradictions. That doesn't equate contradictions. That doesn't equate contradictions. You can come up with a poor conclusion from the evidence that you have, but that does not equate contradictions. Here.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Because again, like if you see your,
of course. Yeah. There are people who will definitely assume, like, if they come to the wrong conclusion based on of like they only know because people do this all the time. With regards to they'll see black people don't know how to swim, so they assume black people just inherently can't swim. A lot of race scientists come to conclusions like that all the fucking time. They don't care about the context that led to it.
Like the concept of IQ and all that other good bullshit. We just know that it's bullshit and based off of wealth versus actual brain working type thingies. Yeah, I know. I'm tired. Let's go.
They look at the now and extrapolate from there, and they're just like, this is inherent to them. They just don't know how to swim. They just can't. Don't know how to. They can't. That's wrong, of course.
Yeah,
but
and there's even. Oh, go for it. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
And the point that I'm trying to make here is that you have access to different things because of your social position. Like something that confuses a lot, for a lot of uneducated musicians, as they're coming into understanding music, they look at the black church and go, how is somebody like Corey Henry so talented? Why are all these black musicians being able to play all this complicated music, but they don't know anything about reading? They don't know anything about they don't know about Beethoven. They don't know about
Do you guys get the feeling that like a lot of these assumptions that Joe Louis is throwing out is kind of, I don't know. I've never heard people say that they can't read music. Like, what the fuck? Why are you throwing out these assumptions? Who is saying these assumptions? Where do you hear this bullshit from? Are these your assumptions? Let's go.
Wagner. They don't know about Ockeghem, and it's like the reality is that they weren't granted that by the existence of the social position.
Yeah,
because like when it comes to musicianship, because when it comes to musicianship, like black people and the tradition of the black church is that every day you have access to drums, you have access to keyboards, you have access to the organ, and you have access to these things in a way that isn't connected with the way that white people have been when they're exposed to this as an art form.
Yeah.
I just thought about something. Did he just say that people play music without being able to read music? He does know. Like, I was on church for like 18 years of my life. He does know that the hymnals actually had sheet music, right? He hears it from other wait, fuck, wait, what? I just got that. Does he think that black people can't play the drums because of drumline? That wasn't a documentary, dog. Like that oh god. This man says that black people can't read music, but they play really good. Did he get that from Drumline? Wait, what? Wait, what? He can't believe that bullshit. Oh, 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 oh. Okay, okay, okay. All right, let's go.
Because it's
No,
one thing to say, yeah.
there are people who are, I would say, attached to the notion that there's an inherent need to know all of this stuff before you can engage in the activity itself.
Right.
Wait, but that would mean that just going back to that, like, there are people who can't read music from all stripes of life. They can actually pick up a percussion set and actually go for it. There are people who can actually learn from. There are people who can actually learn from just the meticulousness of pattern recognition and practicing. You cannot play a piano without understanding sheet music. You can't go from song to song to song to song and song without learning sheet music. You cannot play like, even with blues, even with woodwind instruments, you still need to actually know how to read music. No. We know Stevie Wonder can't read music. We know he can't. Because there's no way he can read music. And you know what? It's not like, Stevie Wonder has things like Braille. But yeah. Fuck this man. Let's go.
People who they are attached to that notion because they take pride in their own knowledge of these things. So then when they look at people who have none of that knowledge, but all of the skill, it invalidates the knowledge that they gained at that point. It creates the question of, did I really need to learn all this to still be able to learn how to play an instrument? Did I really need to know all of this? You know what I mean? That's all that is.
No, but
this is true. It's the fact of setting artificial barriers to say that if you don't know this, then you can't learn that. And you know what? When people actually look at it, like, damn, you know what? They're right. I don't need to have this artificial barrier to learn or play what I want to learn. I used to think, back 10 years ago, that because I didn't practice every day and I didn't go to art school, that I couldn't actually work on my art the way I wanted to work on my art. Until I realized something. Like, I used to see people and it was like, oh, this is just trash art. This is just art that I can do in 5 minutes. And then I just had to realize, like, wait a minute. Where is it for me to say somebody's art is trash? They have an audience. People actually like the things that they do. Where is it in my place to say this is trash? Why don't I just take what I want to do and just experiment with it? And a lot of people who feel that, you know what, this person can't do this person can't do that, this person hasn't done this, they haven't paid their dues, they haven't paid the tithe, but there are others of us who say, like, you know what, maybe paying those dues are bullshit. Sheet music also teaches you to the root to play in, and this guy's fucking stupid. Rhythm, yeah. What's up, Rico? You went too soft on this man. Beethoven was pretty damn deaf and still could. Yeah, Beethoven literally was. That's the thing. People hold him in high regards now. People say, like, no, Beethoven is motherfucking like, he was a rebel of his time. That's the bullshit. Like, he was the rebel of his time. Shakespeare, that was just trash theater. That was just trash theater. The point of this bullshit is that it's just It's just bullshit. It's just bullshit. Oh God, let's go. Sorry about that. Let's go. I get the point that white people have racist assumptions concerning black people, but all of this can be solved by white people understanding historical context, not only having the not only by having a black experience. Exactly. Um, and then Rico, look, I know I'm not shitting on you about being polite. You can get these people to talk to you. This is the reason why I only get antagonistic chats with people. Hey, it's cool. It's cool. Shakespeare is trashier than, if I'm honest. Yeah, of course. Although the shit that's supposed to be like serious, that's just trash. Like, I love Taming of the Shrew. I love all the iterations of Taming of the Shrew there are. It's fucking awesome, and people don't give Shakespeare a lot of credit for that one. A Midsummer Night's Dream was fucking awesome. I love those motherfuckers, but yeah, no, that's just me. That's just me. But let's go.
Like, with that being said, like, you'll run in situations where you'll be like, how are some of these individuals so talented? And we see this in music as an example. There's some of the best musicians in the world do not have traditional educational backgrounds when it comes to learning music. And then every once in a while we run into those individuals, and then it paints this, and then, like, when you say, hey, you don't need a traditional music education to be able to play and express music at a high level, people look at you like you have 5 heads. And then they go like, well, what about John Mayer? John Mayer was predominantly self-taught. and even when he went to Berkeley, he dropped out. Lenny Kravitz famously did not go to music school, if I'm remembering correctly. And then you get like multiple. That's what I mean when I'm saying contradictions. You get multiple contradictions of what the status quo is establishing, what you must do for these activities.
But okay, God damn it! And let's not forget the fucking Mr. P on you rapist was self-taught too. Like, I get that, but that has nothing to do with, and this is the shit that I'm talking about. This focus on, hey, yo, it's because they're black that they're great musicians. No, some people just have these talents, and I get it. I fucking get it. You want to claim them because they look like you, they share some of the same cultures, but what about the other people that's outside of your culture that can do the same thing? It's their fucking talent. It is their talent. And yes, they may have had some things that will motherfucking transpose. You may share some similar things. But to say this is because of unique black experience is kind of shitting on the people who's not black that can still do it too. And this is the shit that I hate, because it takes away from their talent and it puts it to some amorphous monolithic group. That's not always good, man. All right, let's go.
Yeah. And then, like, for example, Tony Gonzalez, or was it Tony Gonzalez? It was some football player's name I'm not remembering, but they did not. Antonio Gates, he didn't know football until he was in the NFL. and like, he didn't know what the position that he ended up being one of the top 10, 15 tight ends in the NFL, and he came from a basketball background. And then what happens is, like, if you say like, oh, you need to go through you need to like start from Pee Wee League and do X, Y, and Z, and then you have multiple people who are just like, I picked this up by just being here. It just kind of happened. And we're seeing that now as an example of that contradiction, which is that you don't need to play your entire life in playing football in order to be good at football. And that,
but like was asked in the chat, what the fuck does this have to do with life experience, dog? Like, what does this have to do about life experience? What does it have to do? One of my favorite artists, and if you haven't watched it, the 1,000-Year Blood War, oh, it's fucking magnificent. I've actually read the full manga, but Tai Kubo, he actually put down his manga pen for a while in his 20s and picked it back up, and motherfucking we have Bleach and Burn the Witch. Just like, it's not a contradiction. That's not what that means. That's
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
That
Yeah.
flips it completely on its head. And then people look at that and go like, well, that's not true. And it's like, tell that to the rugby players. Like there's a reason why the NFL is like pursuing rugby players. There's a reason for that, because these tools are a little bit more unique and complicated.
Yeah, it's just I'm not seeing any contradiction here.
but you will see people that would play rugby and soccer. You will see people that play basketball and handball. Like you'll see people that play basketball and motherfucking goddamn volleyball. Which, okay, granted, basketball and volleyball have more in common than what a lot of people think it does, including the same motherfucking inventor. But I digress.
It's there isn't. It's just people again attached to the idea that you need the tradition. It's because of what they went through. You know what I mean? I'm sure you understand the how people all the time will be like, you know, I have the mindset like I went through this, you should too. Like you can't do this unless you do what I did. And it's like, but you're wrong. You're just wrong. It's not so much of a contradiction as you're just wrong. I don't need that traditional education. I don't need to know who the fuck Beethoven is. I don't need any of these things. Like even like on the left, a lot of people be like, I need to study Karl Marx and this, that, and the third to understand. Like they're we call them theory nerds of sorts, where you need to understand theory to contextualize and understand society as a whole. And I'm like, but you don't. I can look at just I don't need hundreds of years of history to understand.
While I think that knowledge of history is important, and I think that we should look at information and theories and background from a lot of different sources. You guys know that Karl Marx, in some cases, just made the theories the fuck up. I'm not saying that they're not true, but he actually came to conclusions by observing different things around him, right? Okay.
How we got here, or why, or that things are bad. Not even so much as how or why, but that things are bad. That people are underpaid, overworked, exploited, coerced, this, that, and the third. I can just open my eyes and look around me to understand that. You know what I mean? There's no contradiction of any kind, because when you say there's a contradiction, that means you're contradicting. This is one thing from another. Like a contradictory statement would be like saying you do need this, but then you go you find out that same person didn't get it themselves. You know what I mean? Actually, no. I guess I'm trying to see if I'm splitting hairs between the hypocrisy and contradictions, but that's neither here nor there. It's just
okay. So contradiction. Let's see. A truthful Christian apologist. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that like that. Contradiction. A non-authoritarian conservative. Fuck. Oh. Damn. Contradiction. Donald Trump telling the truth. Oh fuck, that's a oxymoron. All right, let's go.
it just doesn't. It's still pretty consistent. You know what I mean? I guess kind of contradiction when it's a kind of inconsistency, but it's all pretty.
Okay, a good example of what I can think of when it comes to natural talent is Bessie Coleman. Back in 1921, when black people literally were considered too stupid to fly, it was considered a prodigious aviator. Ended up being an international sensation. Oh, like yeah, no. Hey. First, nobody has a soul, but if Elon Musk did, if we had souls that theoretically existed, Elon Musk would have a soul. It would just be very, 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 very stupid. I wouldn't even say evil. He's just fucking stupid and weak and surrounded by yes men. Now, Zuckerberg having a soul, if they existed, yeah, that's a different things. All right, let's go. You know, besides the souls that he eats for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Let's go.
Pretty consistent. The idea that you don't need these things, but at the same time, people believing that you do. You know what I mean? That's a pretty consistent mindset to have. It's just they don't, those type of people generally don't accept it, right? They just don't, because again, they're very attached. They're for a lot of reasons, from their ego and pride and such, to the idea that you need this thing because that's what they did. And then, like, if they did really well at it, they're like, yeah, I was a scholar of the arts. So because I passed with flying colors, got the highest grades, this, that, and the third. So they attach their own worth to that success in the scholarly part of the art. But and they don't like when someone who never did any of what they did are just as or even more talented and successful than they are. It's just like, what the fuck? How? What?
They attach a lineage to it, which is my point.
They do both. They attach a lineage and they attach their pride, because their pride is attached to their lineage, which still makes no fucking sense because you didn't do anything to make sure you dropped out of the testicles and ovaries that you did. Wow, it's a shocker that people feel that because I dropped out of this particular, like, you know what the problem was? You just should not have been born black, or born poor, or born with what we think the weaker sex is. No, you shouldn't have been born that way. It's your fault that you were born that way. Oh, you know what? You were born with a disability. It was your fault. The fuck? Like, this is okay. Oh god. Okay. And if you haven't done so, please like the stream. Please like the stream. Let's go.
Where I'll give an example from affirmative action, right? Like, basically what we had was, because I have the fortunate privilege of being in community with high populations of different parts of the Asian diaspora. Like, basically what happened.
Okay. As of right now, motherfucking 9:27 Central Standard Time, motherfucking July the 21st, 2023. I'm putting a moratorium on the word diaspora. Stop. Fucking stop. Just say monolith. Just if you want to say that, you should say the monolith. It doesn't sound as motherfucking pleasant to say that shit. If you want to say diaspora, say monolith. And see how well it goes over. It's like calling almond milk almond milk. It's not almond milk. It's almond juice. It doesn't sound so appealing now, does it? It's almond juice. Just like diaspora. What is the diaspora in? Does it end in East Asian? Does it end in like North Asian? Does it end in Asia? Does it end in the Middle East? Like, no, stop this bullshit. All right. Marky Mark eats soul Hitchcock and Hitchcock. The chasing dish soul is dipped in egg batter and coated with crusted Ritz Ritz. Yeah, we're on Twitch. I can't say that word. All right, let's go.
Happened is that the United States said, if you work hard, like, meritocracy and individuality is how you make it in life.
The contradiction there would be is like America's whole fucking brand is, hard work pays off type deal, but then you find out a lot of these motherfuckers are legacy hires and shit.
Now that's a contradiction. That is a contradiction. That's how you use it. I worked hard by falling out of my daddy's testicles, who was already rich or on the path of rich. Yeah, I made sure I fell out of his testicles into the ovaries of the woman that he was taking care of. That, she was sleeping with him. Like, that's hard work. Fuck. All right, let's go.
Even that, legacy admissions. Like, what? They didn't work hard.
I think it's a little bit more controversial. Is that in certain pockets, Asian Americans were better white people than white people. And then you go like, hey, by meritocracy, individuality, by virtue of that and your merit towards that is how you get successful. And then it's like, okay, well, our SAT scores are disproportionately better than yours. And the way Americans are like, wait a minute.
Like, hold on now.
We want you to be good, but not better than us. So and then like what happens is you get Asian Americans who go like, I was told to do these things. I was told to get the 4.5 GPA.
You guys ever realize that it's not inherent to, like, you know, Asian Americans to be smarter than everybody else? It's a cultural thing about study and about making sure that you guys remember a few years ago the Tiger Mom thing. That's what it is. That's just the culture of, you know. And you'll see this across many developed and developing cultures, especially around Asia. And you'll see this where where Confucianism actually took off, where it was this whole scholarly push on certain different things, like in Japan, it's the whole study culture that's based off of some of the elements of Confucianism and Taoism. You'll see it in China, where it was like, again, the scholarly thing. It has nothing to do with genetics. It just has to do with a culture that's built up over centuries of actually scholarship or looking towards scholarship. That's it is nothing genetic in that. It's literally, hey, this is the culture that we come from. It's the same in not just a culture. If you fail at class, you're getting your ass beat. Yeah, no, exactly.
I was told to do all these extracurriculars. I was told to work really hard, and then I got rejected from all my Ivy League institutions that I wanted to apply to. And then somebody says to you, "That's because of Negroes." And then you look, and then you see the Negroes in Harvard, and they go like, "Well, if we look at their records and their academic records, they're not as good as ours." Oh, what's this? What's affirmative action? I don't have a relationship with affirmative action, so why do they need it? And the way contextualizes that, like, these things exist for reasons.
But that wasn't a contradiction. That was, you didn't have all the full information. All right, let's go.
The issue that you can definitely, I'm sure you could prove, is that, like, the white Americans who feel specifically like they don't want to be outdone by some minority, black, Asian, or otherwise, they will just deny their admission, not because of, not just ignore, forget that part. They will deny their admission because they know that they'll do better than them. You know what I mean? They don't want a fair they don't want fairness. They don't want equality. They don't want to actually have to compete with anybody, because it undermines the overlying principle that white people are better. You know what I mean? That's what a lot of it is. And they rationalize it by their behavior by, again, this is like with regards to, putting the cart before the horse, believing that, no, they are just inferior, so our actions of barring them from entry are justified because they wouldn't be good in here anyway. That's what they tell themselves. You know what I mean? But the truth is that in a fair competition, they lose. You know what I mean? They don't want to lose. It's the same thing what a lot of corporations do.
So I get what Rico is trying to say in this. It's the same argument that you hear from a lot of people. Is like, well, we don't want women in this workplace because women can't do the job. And then women started doing the job and starting to perform up to the standard that a lot of other guys, the guys do on the job. And it's just like, no, they're still not good. Or it was when, more minorities got into certain fields, and it was hey, they can't be, these black people can't understand this complex job, and they would get into it and they would actually do the same because it wasn't necessarily about, say for instance, the test scores. It was the aptitude for doing what that job required, and that doesn't have a melatonin motherfucking required level in order to make this. But for so many people, they put that, again, going back to putting your faith in something you had no control over about whose testicles you fall out of and whose ovaries you were dropped out of. They put that to, well, because I'm this, then that must mean I'm superior. That's not a contradiction. That's more like, and yes, to some people, to the people who believes this, that's a contradiction. But no, it's not a real contradiction. They just need to incorporate new data. And that's why they don't want affirmative action. They have a cognitive dysfunction from the same context these cornbread. Yeah, it's a cognitive dissonance. It's just cognitive dissonance. If I had to compete on a level stage with somebody who has the same aptitude, the test scores may be fucking different because of the way the system is actually set up. But when they have the same aptitude that I have, or better, then they can probably succeed better than what I can. And that's the thing. In test scores, I can motherfucking win some test scores. I will tell you that. It's easy in some cases. Some people have aptitudes for tests. But when it comes down to breaking down different things, no, fuck. That has nothing to do with your melatonin content. But let's go.
Why they go out of their way to stamp out any competition is because they don't want to actually have to compete. They don't want to actually have to provide the best possible service, of the best quality of service, and this, that, and the third. They don't want to compete. They want to win. They just want to they want to stay on top. So they undermine and pull the rug from under any and all competition, and then they justify it in some cockamamie bullshit fucking way. But yeah.
Sort of.
No, not sort of. That's the fuck what they do. God damn. That's what they do. It's no sort of. That's literally what happens. Let's go.
Let me approach this a little bit of a different way, right? Like in the United States, when we're looking to be ready for college, there's different metrics to be used to determine college readiness. And for Asian Americans, that is the SAT. Like the SAT and grades are a very important thing when you're trying to determine and show college readiness, because that's what.
Then here's the thing, right? Maybe that's a bullshit way of looking at it. I know, weird, right? The standard that has been effective for so many people may be a bullshit way of looking at it, right? The Tuskegee Airmen, for example, never lost a bomber under their watch, and they were the first black fighter pilots. Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
That is what they were explicitly told. Get good grades, get high test scores, like have good extracurriculars, do all of these things. And then what happened was, like, when the contradictions of the social position revealed themselves, were like, there's a bit more to this than just grades and test scores. And then what was revealed is that, okay, it's affirmative action that's causing this otherization. That's the reason why you're not going in. So then you have
I like to say it's more of the cognitive dissonance. It's really just a cognitive dissonance, and I get it. You can first classify it as, it's the contradictions. It's evidence that contradicts what you believe. But that just means what you believe may be bullshit, and then people go to the cognitive dissonance of saying, no, it must be something else. And it's not a contradiction that the evidence is real. It's contradicting their preset beliefs. And like this again, he's stuck on this word of contradictions as if he's trying to make himself sound smarter than what he fucking is. No, dog. No. It's people that have cognitive dissonance about what they believe that the world is like. It's the whole just world fallacy. It's the whole, well, if I did this right, then I must be good. And wow, you are trying to sound smarter than what you fucking really are. But let's go. By the way, if you haven't done so, like the stream.
Have different expressions of what that could be as a survival strategy. NPR just posted a story about this where a college recruiter, he's responsible for essays, one of his Asian students was nervous about anything that made it like tick that they were Asian by virtue of their story. And it's like, well, how can you tell if somebody is Asian just by an essay that they write? But the reason is because there's a lineage of a social position that exists in the United States for Asian Americans that is unique. And if you
No, you fucking idiot! Just say that people are bigoted against the Asian people. Why do you have to go there? Again, you're trying to make yourself sound smarter than what you fucking are. All it is, people are bigoted against Asian people. Damn, that is so simple to say. There's a lineage of a social contradiction of. Just say people are fucking bigoted. You're trying to make yourself sound smarter than what you fucking are.
are somebody who knows about these social positions, you can just come to certain conclusions just by reading somebody's essay. And those conclusions are nothing unique. They're not supposed to be anything unique. Like just because you're a concert master in your orchestra, and just because you are a first generation immigrant or second generation, doesn't make you Asian. There's nothing inherent to Asianness that means that you're an immigrant in that regard. But because of the social position that exists as being a member of that group in the United States.
Oh yeah. What? Hold on. Let me see if I. Hold on. Let's see if I can find that. Because he's trying to sound smarter than what he is right here. If anybody has that link, can you just give me that link? Oh my god. Now here it is, right here.
Do you believe that you have?
This is his shit. I found it.
Do you believe that you have a different relationship with the social and political systems in society based on who you are? You are a white, I'm assuming middle class Asian American.
He must have misspoke, right?
White presenting, I should say.
You know what, dude? Mad props for the double down. Call him a fucking cracker, man. Fucking go for it, dude.
He literally called this man a white Asian American. I don't have any words about that. I really don't have any words about that. That is anybody that I don't like is white. That's literally that's all that shit is. I don't have any words about that. And you know what's funny? It's one of those things where it's like, do you equate being black to poor and not poor white? Is that what you really equate? But we're getting sidetracked.
That has a lineage line.
And well, that's with all of this being said, everything we said up to this point, with all of this being said, what does this have to do with like how? It sounds like a white person can absolutely understand. Because I mean, if you understand the social position of Asians and Asian.
Okay, yeah, he brought it back. Yes, brought it back. Let's go.
Immigrants and such. even though you're not Asian, why wouldn't a white person be able to understand the black experience? In the because like again, going back to the original thing that started all this was the notion that a Candace Owens is better at because
who was the guy he was talking about? He was talking about this guy right here. Talk about this guy in the middle right here. I mean, like, how does he pass his? How does he present as white? Is he like? I don't even know like what what ethnic background my man's right here is from. Like, does he have to like wear like, I don't know, traditional Asian clothing like from where? Like, I mean, like, I get a lot of people that use diaspora and groups and call themselves that just like they have to wear their culture on them some kind of way. But just to say like he's white presenting because he's dressed like a Westerner. No. Okay, let's go.
Because she's black and her proximity to the black experience and such, it's like, but we do understand. We understand. You and I understand the social. I lost the word on top of my head. It's what you've been saying, but basically, like, I don't understand how we can't understand each other because it sounds like we absolutely fucking can. The context, everything.
Right, but there's a difference with understanding, and there's nuances that exist within that. Because
yeah, okay, there's nuances in everything. Let's go.
Because I can read how to play a game. Anybody can read how to be good at Call of Duty, Fortnite, whatever the case may be. But there are particular nuances that exist by being in the activity, practically engaging in the activity. And we know this to be true. So what I mean,
I can play. Real example. One of the things that was happening when I do my gameplays, like I remember when I was playing as Atreus on motherfucking God of War Ragnarok. Spoiler alert, you get to play as Atreus. But that felt like, what I felt from that is when I was playing motherfucking Horizon Forbidden West, the crossover, how you play with Aloy. And I know they're two different games, but some of the crossover actually is a fun way of playing it. It's learning from one part, even though they're not the exact same parts, to play another game. The whole everything has like Dark Souls controls now. A lot of games have Dark Souls control now. It doesn't mean it's the exact same way, but because it's a standardized control scheme, a lot of people can actually pick up and play games. They may not be able to play it extremely good in one game to the next, but that's just, it doesn't mean because it's not the exact same thing, you can't learn from a standardization, or you can't learn from having an overall experience. Yeah. You can, like one shooter, what you can get from one shooter, you can get from another shooter. It may not be the exact same motherfucking. That's the better analogy. It might not be the exact same game, but you can actually learn from different sources and carry some of that experience over. But let's go.
By when it comes to speaking to certain things, Candace Owens can speak to Black life and Black existence.
But what is
only
unique?
Other groups don't. Other groups have to read it. Other groups have to read it. They have to read about Black life and Black existence. And the reason why they have to read about Black life and Black existence is because that life and existence is not in their world. So certain things that might relate to Black trauma, Black death, and Black harm might sound very like dangerous, but it might also be overstated when you're trying to articulate an injustice claim.
What's the difference between Black death and white death?
The difference between Black death and white death is the relationship with the institution. Black people were lynched. but white people were lynched too. One of the worst lynchings in the South was in Louisiana and it was white people. But if you look at white death in its totality, lynching is not a part of that lineage.
Why does he keep saying lineage when you just want to say history? It's just a grandization of words. He's aggrandizing words in order to make them sound more regal. And don't get me wrong, I am somebody who uses a thesaurus of different words. For like, because I work in a call center, I even took the word like out of my vocabulary when I'm talking to people. So yes, I understand the power of using different words. You can always tell Rico's having a tough conversation by the amount of cigarettes he started smoking. All right, let's go.
I'm still not seeing the difference. You know what I mean? Because yeah, they don't have a lineage of being lynched recreationally and systematically, but like death is death. You get what I mean? They understand death.
But the circumstances of what led to them dying is important, because a lot of those white folks that were lynched were because of helping other black people or being abolitionists.
But a lynching is a lynching, and they understand what it means to be lynched. They understand even if obviously I would never understand what it feels like to be lynched because I haven't been lynched, obviously. But
sure.
Bingo! Bingo!
I can understand what a lynching is. Like, because a lynching is a lynching, death is death. What does that have to do with being
right?
Black?
But there's an association that comes with that. So, like, if you're and that's the social position where if you wanted to say that, like, okay, I want to make sure that this person knows that I'm talking to them. I'm talking about to their existence, to their life. Would you hang a white mannequin on a tree in their yard, or would you take that mannequin and color its face black? Because black and lynching has a lineage line to blackness and being perceived as black.
I think anybody would be terrified of someone threatening to lynch them. Anybody. You put a mannequin of themselves in front of their house and that mannequin being lynched. Any person can understand, oh shit, someone's threatening to hang me. You know what I mean? That has nothing to do with your skin color. That is all. That is an instinctual fear, a rightfully instinctual fear. Like, hey, this person, or you make a mannequin put bullet holes in it, or put knives in it, and say, "You're next" type deal. It doesn't matter the color of it; they understand it.
If I took a mannequin and hung it on a tree, and I put 10 white people, and I said, "What person is that pointing to? What is that action pointing to?" And they'll probably all say, that's a lynching. Great. But what identifiable group in the United States is that pointing to? And if I made the argument that that's pointing to white people, is that true? Is it
Joe, I'm going to say something. And this may be a shocker to you. Mr. Joe Lewis over here probably didn't study history. I know, weird, right? He's concerned with some history, but not all history. That's just it's just a little thing called selective memory. Yeah, no. And to just read what he said, my grandparents had that happen. Mannequins were hung from a tree in front of their house. That was done while Grandpa and Grandma organized Steelworkers Union. Yeah, no, of course. And let's at least not forget, like, the black people weren't the only ones in the ghettos up until very, very recently. But you know, some people forget about that shit.
True that if I point to that tree and say that action of a lynching is pointing to a lineage of white people being lynched, is that a correct statement?
Yes. If I've seen white people, if the mannequin is of a white person being lynched, and so you point to and say, yeah, this is regarding a white person being lynched, then yeah, that'd be correct. It's
A
like,
lineage of white people being lynched.
Dude, like, you got the answer to your question. You just didn't like it. Oh my God. Do you love black people? Do you love black people? He's doing the Jesse Lee Peterson shit.
Not
but
just a
there,
particular action. A
but
lineage
what,
of this action is done so much so that I can associate that
but,
action to white people.
but there is a lineage of white people being lynched. White people have been hung all throughout history.
But as a lineage, by virtue of their existence of being white?
No, by virtue of what they did to get lynched. You know what I mean?
And that's the difference. That's the difference.
But that's the difference. But it's a distinction that is kind of irrelevant, because you're focusing on the racialized aspect of why someone was lynched, but you to basically argue that white people can't understand what that fear of being lynched when they absolutely can.
But they can't tie it to their lineage. They can't.
Yeah, yes, they can. If it's a history of white people being lynched, there's a history of them being lynched. Yes, they can. You're just trying to carve out. No, the lynches are just for black people. That's what he's trying to fucking do, and this is fucking stupid. Yeah, of course, this is what happens when you live in an echo chamber. This is what happens when you live in a fucking echo chamber of people that disagree with you because they think you're right. There were Native Americans that were lynched. I mean, like, our Jewish brothers and sisters were lynched. Not just during the civil rights movement, but like not, and we're not just going to talk about the Holocaust, but like there were people who were ran out of town just because they weren't exactly a certain way. Yeah, sure.
They can't tie it to the
to.
history of the action. So like if you were saying, like, I'm not saying that you were saying, like, the claim I'm trying to make here is that action is pointed to a lineage of that action being done to black people. So much so that if you were to say that, hey, this action points to a lineage of white people doing that might be true, but it's not true by virtue of the social position of being white in America. You weren't making, like, sure, you can say in different contexts outside the United States that hanging was an action and hanging was a punishment for crime.
No, you don't. So now it's just in the United States. Like, here, Shark said this. These people say these stupid things, and streamers got to clean up their messes while they go back to Mount Olympus. And if you're a community of being non-straight white Protestants, you probably understand. Hell, you even if you are white, exactly. Boy call kissing a boy. Okay. Dublin. No. You weren't. They didn't hang you on a tree. They got the rocks. They grabbed the rocks. Lynched. They got the rocks. Yeah, we need to put a moratorium on this and ban the word social positions.
Crimes, but the crime for black people in a lot of cases was the crime of existence. The crime of
I'm so confused. Is he trying to say that white people don't have a history of being lynched just because of their race? Yes, he is. Yes, he is saying that. And I'm gonna go back a little bit. I'm gonna let him say this word that he's about to say, and we're just gonna see how stupid this is.
But the crime for black people in a lot of cases was the crime of existence. The crime of existence out of line. The crime of just existing, of communicating with people.
remember I said earlier he wants to say that black people experience um, worse, fucking just say torture, because black. That's all he wants to say. Like, seriously, that's all he wants to say. Now, I'm of the belief that you shouldn't measure your pain on how much how much it hurts a group versus how much it's actually hurt you and what you're going to do about it. I don't think you should say, oh, my overall group has the most pain, so we're the most. Because all it turns into, we're the most justified to do what the fuck we want to you. That's all it turns into. I'm of the belief is like, yo, we have this shared pain. It may not be the exact same pain, so let's not make sure that nobody else experiences this. But people like Joe Lewis over here wants to say, we have the most pain, we have the most pain, and we have the most pain, we can do something about it. The fuck out of here. The fuck out of here. Now, am I for marginalized communities to be protected? Yes. But when you start using your pain as a way of saying, like, we have the most pain, we have the most pain, get the knives. This is where it turns like you just want revenge. The crime of existence. Someone needs to read a history of Europe and how many genocides happened just because you lived under the wrong monarch. I don't know. I mean, like, let's ask the Romani. Let's ask the let's ask the Huns, because remember the Huns were actually discriminated before, like when they came out of the Asian steppes and they came into Europe after they lost their the fuck, who was that, not Genghis, um fuck, who was that, the Hungary the Hung leader that, and after he died they kind of ran into some bigotry. Yes, like, yeah. Let's go.
Proximity to violence is different, and it's
But white
different
people, but
because
white
of the
people
social
were.
system.
Yeah, Attila the Hun, the Hun. Like, yeah, he they ran into some bigotry after he died because reasons, and like, yeah, no, and then of course they established Hungary and shit like that. They should brush up on how many white people were killing other white people just because the region they came from. Exactly.
But white people were lynched for being white. White people who betrayed their race by helping black people were lynched. So were lynched, whatever,
But is
because
that
of that.
because they were white, or was
Yes,
it?
it's because they were white. They were race traitors.
So connect that for me. How is I'm not quite connecting the.
Then you're fucking stupid if you're not connecting that. He just literally explained it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's just forced ignorance.
I'm not quite connecting. I'm not really.
Their action
Welcome
was
to that.
their action was betraying their race, and so they were lynched for it. The being white is how they betrayed their fellow white person. That is why, because the sense of entitlement by white nationalists, supremacists, so on and so forth, believing that white people are supposed to be this that way. We don't fucking do it. We don't help the Negroes and such and such. Like, we're superior, blah 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 blah. So when a white person would betray what those white supremacists believe white people are supposed to do, that person is subsequently punished for it. It's because they're white. They're not supposed to help us, but they did.
So you would have to connect then examples of betrayal that don't involve black people altogether.
Your premise is faulty. No, if you're exactly. Oh my god, oh my god. Not just the examples that we have in motherfucking chat that I went over, that you guys went over, but like, literally. I really want him to understand the setup that Rico just actually says. They were lynched because they were white and they were betraying their race. That is literally it. He's looking for an excuse to try to not be wrong. Hold on. Burnett. Stop. Tony Burnett, new famous Detroit civil rights activist, killed in Selma March. Tony Burnett is primarily known for his music and his art. What some may not know is he was also involved in the civil rights movement. Burnett, who died Friday at the age of 96, joined the Detroit civil rights activists at the Selma March. The activist will later be killed after taking Burnett to the airport. Loyola Loser, a civil rights activist from Detroit, was shot and killed in Selma's voting rights march in 1965, one day after driving Burnett to the airport. Luzo, who drove to Selma by herself from her home, did so after seeing unarmed American citizens brutally beaten by state and local law enforcement. According to the Encyclopedia of Alabama, Luzo went to Selma after the attack of the 600 demonstrators crossing the Edmund Putz Bridge on March the 7th, 1965. State troopers greeted demonstrators with tear gas, billy clubs, and whips. Martin Luther King Jr. called the Americans to gather in Selma for the Voting Rights Act march. Her murder scared. Joe says her murder scared Tony for the rest of his life. I'm connecting the dots now. This is why these cornbread tubers are so cavalier with the term race traitor. They don't really understand the implications for the people who suffer for betraying their race, being against racism. No, of course they don't. They don't, because they would do the same goddamn thing. The 39-year-old white mother of 5 children attended a church and was attended a march and was killed on the last day by members of the Ku Klux Klan. Luzo was working for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, transporting protesters from Montgomery to Selma. Let's get back to the video.
That's where I'm not really quite connecting. I'm not connecting this.
But they are connected. You know what I mean? They are that's the context. The context is they betrayed white people, like assisting black people. That's
because of the social position that black people are in.
This social position bullshit is gonna piss me off because he doesn't know what that fucking word means.
Exactly, but that's my point. It's like they were lynched for being white. They betrayed their fellow white man.
But there's also the intersections that exist within the white identifiable group, because
it was no intersection. They were lynched because they were considered race traitors. That's why they were lynched. Oh my God.
Is one of the contradictions of race is that race is this flat line. But we know that even within the white ethnic group, the Klan hated Jews too. The Klan hated the Irish. The Klan hated Polish people. And it wasn't because they were targets of this because they were white. They were targets of this because they were perceived as non-white.
Yeah, but we're not talking about the people the white skin, the fair skin.
So he's now going back to, well, they weren't really white, and so that's the reason why they were targeted. No, motherfucker, they were targeted because they were helping black people and they were white, so they were seen as race traitors. What was this? The 3 civil rights people that were disappeared because they were helping, like one of them was white. Like, for real, dog. You're trying to be so obtuse with what Rico is saying because you don't want to seem wrong. Let's go. Keep going.
That they didn't deem white. We're talking about the white people that they did deem white, who betrayed white people and then subsequently lynched them.
If you assist black people, you are no longer deemed as white. That's my argument. Where it's not.
I think we're going to end it there. I think we're gonna end it there. I I think we're gonna end it there. I'm gonna have to do part 2 of this because this shit is fucking crazy. Like, how do you go here, man? Like, oh my god, this shit is so fucking stupid because you are being purposely obtruse in order to prove yourself right, and it's fucking unbelievable. It's fucking unbelievable. I. How could you be a race trainer and not be seen the part of the race? Because reasons. Fuck you, that's why. The fuck? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, because fuck you, that's why. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I'm gonna have to pick this up tomorrow. I have my daughter tomorrow. I will set a time where we're going to finish this because this is fucking crazy. This is fucking crazy. Anyway, guys, if you haven't done so, please like the stream. Please like the stream. I would definitely encourage you guys to like the stream. And yeah. As I always say at this time, hey. Touch titties, always with consent. Be the person that you want to be around and not who you want to be like. And applicable enough. Take us away, Richard.
What do you think that these executives are afraid you're going to do to white America?
Probably stop some racism.
Stop racism?
Yeah, I'm probably afraid of that because then people don't hate each other, and people start talking to each other, and then they start talking to each other, they find out who's the problem.
Which is?
Greedy people.
Greedy. I have a couple things I want to ask you there. Do you really think that some of the guys that you dealt with at NBC, no names, right? Because there's lawsuits for that too, that some of these guys really want to promote racism actively, or is it a subconscious?
I just think it's part of capitalism, is to promote racism, right? In order to make things work. If you feel better because you're white and you can get a job, you use that. I mean, I would.
Absolutely.
Say, I'm sorry, Jack, but shit, they say I'm white. I'm going to use this.
Right. Absolutely.
Get this job. I'm hungry, But, and that separates people. So they keep people separated, and that keeps them from thinking about the real problem. That's as simple as I see it. Probably it's not that simple, but...
Now, all right, you and I are about the same age, right? We're in our mid-30s. How long is it going to take before guys who think like you, and I say guys who think like me, people who don't want to have racism in the country, people who don't want to be oppressing any minority, whatever it is, sexual, whatever minority, really get into positions of power and can change things?
You can't get in a position of power, it seems, if you think like that. It seems that the only time you get in a position of power is if you're like the people that are in power. To me, I mean, that's the way it goes. I mean, people that get to become executives become like the people that were already executives.
I don't know, maybe...
They go in with good intentions, but it eats them up. It's like a cesspool, it just gets on you and it starts
eating. The system levels them.
Pretty soon it's all gone.
Is that what a cesspool sounds like?
Yes.